Okay, I guess we're talking about obsessions.
How about now?
Now you're
That's
back.
better. Yeah.
Okay. Making to bring myself back from the brink. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about obsessions today because I feel like we live in a time period where there's lots of stuff for people to like really dig into. So I wanted to talk about things that we have personally, had obsessions with, whether they be mild or like serious in some way. But I want to be careful not to be like, oh, people today are so obsessed with their cell phones or like so obsessed with social media. Like,
Okay, you've cut out again. This is a beta, guys. Remember, this is beta. Okay, so obviously we're avoiding conversation about obsession with cell phones, social media, and things like that. I guess we're talking more about personal obsessions with things outside of what would be considered the norm. Do you have any particular obsessions you want to talk about, Jacob?
To be honest, I haven't really thought ahead here, but I definitely have. I guess I'll start with a benign one. I have this long-running obsession with the concept of like timelines, and
Okay.
I love anything that I can like stretch out in parallel over time with something else, or like compare the dates between two things, whether it's like video game releases from different series that I don't think of as having like overlapping eras, or it's like historical civilizations that you don't think of as being in the same time.
Right.
I love that sort of stuff, like graphically displayed, and it's a huge distraction for me from time to time.
Oh, I bet, but it's got to be really satisfying to see when it's all laid out.
Oh, it's very fun to dive into.
Oh, I bet. I suffer with my own kind of obsessions. I say suffer because a lot of the time I can't help myself. Particularly bad when it comes to what's called GAS, or gear acquisition syndrome. It's not a medical thing. It sounds like it, but I'm a musician. I play guitar, bass, ukulele, drums, loads of other stringed instruments. Absolutely loads of them. Basically, anything with strings on, I can pick up and more or less get. So I'm terrible for just picking things up that relate to it. Musical equipment, in particular, junky stuff, I love it. It's just great to play with. So, I've spent possibly a fortune in my time collecting on things that would maybe be considered trash to most. But it's all fun and it's all different. That's what I like about it. Broclen, how goes your audio things? Hey, Saban, how you doing?
do I exist yet? Your audio is choppy. Is mine also choppy to you?
No, yours was just pretty good.
Yeah. Sounds fine, but we also couldn't hear you previously if you were talking.
I haven't been talking in quite some while, so thank you guys for carrying on as the internet continues to chew me up and spit me out.
Okay, it's no problem. Saban, please introduce yourself and tell us about any obsessions you have.
Obsessions. Yeah, my name is Saban Abbasi. I have met Broclen before, and quite like this dude. And I've met you before as well, Crow. So yeah.
Yeah, we have met.
Nice.
We have a few times.
Yep. Nice meeting you again. And my
It's
obsession
gonna
would
be
be probably film, video games, and religion.
okay. Do you want to take us bit by bit through your different interests?
Well, not really the person to tell out my interest out loud. If there's a conversation about it, I would just, chime in.
Okay. I guess I'll lead you to the film side then. Um, I do like films. I think most people like films. I particularly like collecting VHS. It's old and outdated and all that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually picked up a massive box of VHS earlier on, like 90 tapes. And, there's some good stuff in there, but there's some absolute junk too. It's great fun. I love doing it, especially like through Facebook or whatever, because you never know what you're going to get. I don't really want to know either. It's kind of like a lucky dip. And sometimes you get some fantastic stuff. Like, I got I think it was an original release of Star Wars A New Hope about a month ago. It's a really, really nice copy. And, I like the thrill of picking up and not knowing what I'm getting, So it's really good fun, actually.
Yo, that's a good activity. my one of my older cousins had that kind of interest of getting canes, bottle, drink canes. Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. The only problem really with collecting VHS is, as I'm sure all of you are aware, it's quite bulky.
I had a roommate who collected VHS tapes, and that was fine, but they kept them all in the living room as if we might watch them at any moment, like it was still 1992. So that was a little annoying.
I'll be honest. I'll carry on. Sorry.
Oh, no. You can go ahead.
Oh, yeah. For the record, I was born in 92, so watch yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Her
had
name
never
background
considered that you
explained.
might be younger than me.
I don't know. Well, I mean, young is a matter of opinion, I guess. But I actually do keep VHS in my living room. It's a really weird setup because I have the first VHS player I ever had as a kid, literally from 1994. I've got it rigged up, and there's like a load of composite cables coming out, and then digitizing the signal and putting it through the HDMI. So I have a HDMI run VHS player into like a friggin' 60-inch flat screen TV. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. I have like the surround sound speakers as well. So it takes up a large part of my living room, but dude, it's really cool, especially for like friends of mine that are video and audio buffs. They absolutely dig it, and it's a great thing to show off.
There is something nice about seeing all the old-fashioned stuff and for it to be, set up as it was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a nostalgia thing. It's looking back at the things that remind us of being young and yada, 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 yada. I'll be honest, I still feel kind of young, except for my back. That can be pretty achy sometimes, but we've all been there. Oh, yeah, we know that. But no, I mean, I have films that I particularly remember as a kid, especially like The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser 1999. Ooh,
solid movie.
Oh, yeah, okay. It maybe cheese, maybe total cheese, but
oh my God, so much of what we love is cheese. We forget it's cheese, but a lot of it is.
Yeah, I mean, not that I'm that way inclined, but damn, dude was friggin' hot. And Rachel Weisz, my God.
Hi,
Woo!
friends. Mummy is not cheese at all. Mummy is a classic summer blockbuster.
Thank you.
Classic
Oh.
summer blockbuster.
Yes, boy. Mummy 2 as well. Very good. CGI, dodgy. We do not talk about The Rock.
Yeah, I mean, it was The Rock's first attempt, so we'll let that go because he still had a lot of good favor going, and it was, as far as sequels go, it was really hard to get sequels right, and I thought it was a pretty decent attempt. Another good, you don't expect a lot from a blockbuster. It's just supposed to excite you, make you laugh, make you eat a lot of popcorn, and then you get out of there and you're like, yeah, that was fun. Didn't require a lot of brain cells, but it was fun.
I like that. Yeah, it doesn't require a lot of brains.
Every group of archaeology students ends up watching The Mummy at some point together. Also, it's just it's like a field favorite.
Really? Oh my God! Oh, dude, I get it. It's such a fun film. Yeah, it's goofy, it's cheesy. The CG is dated. I mean, it is 23 years old. Oosh.
But that's part of the charm of remembering back then that was the height. That was the thing. That was, what looked good for the time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have both the original 2 films on VHS, original from when I was a kid, still perfect condition. I've also got it on DVD and Blu-ray because, dude, my love for that film is so deep-seated. It's almost like a key part of my my personality almost. But I just love kind of campy flicks like that. They're fun. They're a bit of a jostle and a bit weird and all that. But damn, man, it's one of those films you can just sit back and enjoy. It's marvelous.
All the actors were pretty much in the groove at that time. Brendan Fraser was on his little movie groove. I think it was George of the Jungle, Dudley Do Right, Blast from the Past. He was really
he was trending.
He was really trending at that point. Encino Man. What's his name? Yeah. Rachel Weisz, I believe, was one of her first movies. The guy who played Jonathan, I forget what the actor's name, but he's been around for a while too. There's a lot of noticeable actors in that movie. Yeah. It was just good timing. Good timing.
Dude, every one of them was fucking hot and all. I'm not that way inclined, but damn. Arnold Vosloo too at the time. The dude was ripped. Oh, he looked good. He looked good.
Can I share my obsession?
Oh, please.
I believe I've escaped from the void of the internet that haunts me. So I think I can reliably speak to you now, if only for a moment.
Please.
So, when I was a kid, there was this group of kids and we all hung out together, but we didn't quite like each other. So we would always give each other shit, call each other names. If someone wasn't looking, we try to throw food at the other one. It was not my best moment in my childhood. It wasn't a good place. And then the Pokemon games started, and those Pokemon games changed everything because that became we all played it. So that became the cultural language, and things got a lot more friendly. So it started out really cool. So that's the point I'm making, that this is an obsession that could be good or bad. So I loved the first Pokemon games that came out. Obviously, I had a group of friends to play them with. We were all antagonists with each other. That's kind of the ideal circumstances for that first Pokemon generation. But if you've ever played those early games, they're kind of fucking weird. They're buggy. They're old. There's just a lot of game crammed in there.
Shit.
So was I obsessed with the game? Oh, sure. Did I need to find cheats to get Mew and stuff? Yeah, I definitely needed to do that. But this missing no thing, the missing no thing was next level for me. I was dedicated to figuring out what the hell that thing was and what it could do. So like I spent a lot of time just like catching missing no's and doing experiments on their various forms and stuff. So I found one that if you caught it, you could teach it a couple of the HM moves you needed to get around the map. And then if you gave it a rare candy, it would evolve into a Kangaskhan for reasons no one understands. At which point you could teach it the other moves to travel across the map.
Missing No evolved into Kangaskhan?
If you played your cards right, yes, you could capture a missing node that you then could evolve into a Kangaskhan. And that Kangaskhan, if you taught it, that could be your HM slave, right? That could be the Pokemon that you use just to get around everywhere. So you don't have to be teaching like your Charizard fly or annoying things like that. But like I wanted to see how far this would go. So like I found out that if I put it in different boxes for different periods of time, the call it made would change. And at one point it made a Zapdos call, and I was trying to figure out if I could get it to evolve into a Zapdos somehow. So like I got pretty deep. I was looking up stuff on the internet that was definitely made up, but I was like, well, this seems like bullshit, but I should test it to make sure that it's bullshit. So like I was deep in the Pokey research for a while there.
Dude, that's really fun. Yeah, I mean, I played all the Pokemon games as a kid. Still got them, actually, every one of them. And as we speak, I am actually playing a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Y.
Oh,
Ooh.
Nice. I enjoyed those.
Yeah. You know the rules of Nuzlocks, right?
Harsh. Very, very harsh.
Yeah, well, I've ended up with a team I really don't like very much. So,
So you won't necessarily weep when they fall in battle.
I didn't think so, but like I've had 3 or 4 deaths, and every time it's been something I wouldn't generally care about. But dude, they've hurt every time. I mean,
I hacked my 3DS, so I don't do Nuzlocks, but I have Pokemon X and Pokemon Alpha Sapphire randomized. So like you could run into like a legendary Pokemon in the tall grass and potentially get vaporized by them or something. And that's been a really fun way to revisit the games.
Fair enough. I mean, my current team is Raichu named Mochi, Drifbloom called Simon. I have a Charizard, which I was given by the professor at the start of the game.
Right, because you need to name them each so you can like have an emotional connection with them so that when they die, it hurts you. That's the point, right?
Yeah, it hurts, man. Charizard's called Buddy. I've got a Greninja called Gamma, which is fun because that's the Japanese word for toad, Gamma. There you go. And a Tyrant called... Yeah, there you go. Tyrant called Rex and a Lucario named Tia. Not my favorite team because I would usually be running grass type instead of electric, and my flying type is a fucking ghost, which is, as you know, 1 bite and it's dead as a dodo.
Yeah, there's some glass cannons out there that, seem like a great idea, but then they take a hit and go down pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I had it good earlier on. I caught a crocodile and thought, oh, yes, there we go. And then it got absolutely bloody annihilated by a Blastoise.
Yeah, all it takes is that one encounter. I think for me in the randomizer, the trick is to make sure that there isn't the experience share on. And then I think like when you like run into a gym leader that has like crazy Pokemon mixed in for some reason, those moments become more real.
Yeah.
But I want to make the point with Pokemon that it can go both ways, right? Like whether it's the main games, like you can make friends, you can be social. Like if you play Pokemon Go, you can get out and exercise and like theoretically connect with the community, or you could be a little screwball like myself, poking Missing No to see what it will do next for months on end and being truly committed to it.
Why not though? Like, I mean, it's good fun. These games are made for different styles of play, and that's exactly it.
I feel like for someone, because my day job is working in technology, so like experimenting with software makes perfect sense. But I do yearn for the day that Missing No is legitimized and recognized as an actual Pokemon and not the walking error message that maybe he truly is.
I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to be made legitimate.
No, that's why I actually purchased a Missing No plushie off Etsy, because Nintendo will never make it. It's lovely. It's very soft.
Oh, dude, when you get a chance, could you send me a picture of that?
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Oh, sweet. I really want to see. That's so interesting.
Yeah, Etsy is a wonderful place where all your weirdest little dreams might come true.
Oh, dear. Don't say that. I'm a degenerate.
Okay, well, I think it's all like, I don't know if there's a not safe for work style Etsy. I never thought to look, so I'm sure that's someone's obsession somewhere.
I am
There's
certainly
definitely a
not doing.
market for that.
I am certainly not doing that right now. Absolutely not. Oh,
It's the
shit.
beyond of Bed Bath and Beyond. You got to be curious.
You can buy dildos on Etsy.
Can you now? You've opened the door. Now we're there.
I had to check. I had to. We had to know. Not that I'm, specifically looking for that, but I thought that'd be a good keyword to kind of get myself into the less safe for work side,
Yeah, so Sal was here, and I'm afraid that the void took him, and that's why it stopped pursuing me. But Sal mentioned that, religion to an extent, and I believe Sal is a Islamic theology student, much like I have been a Christian theology student. So I feel like when you're in a position like me, you kind of have to nod and recognize, yeah, I am a little obsessed. I think that you can say that. I hope it's not an unhealthy obsession, but I think that when you are at the level of being a clergy person, you do have to recognize that you're at least maybe a little outside the norm.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, everyone, whatever interest you have, there's going to be a certain level of obsession, no matter what you do. I mean, like I said earlier on,
I think the best measure of potential obsession is how much student debt I have. So I've gone pretty deeply into debt for the sake of my education, as many people have. So if you went into debt over other things, it might be called an obsession. So I'm trying to be fair, I guess.
Well, I guess kind of maybe from an American standpoint, but where I'm from, we don't pay for education. So
what? How is that possible?
England, mate.
Oh, right. The rest of the world. How quickly we Americans forget there's a rest of the world.
Yeah, and there's other places outside of the U.S.
How do you know it's a good education if you didn't pay a lot of money for it?
Yeah, there you go. That's the capitalistic approach.
By the fact that I have a general knowledge about most things, and it goes into more specifics than I may have heard from others that have experienced the American education system.
It's not a perfect system, but we sure are stuck with it.
Yeah, I mean, we have the only solid system we actually have is more money gets you better version of said thing.
I mean, you can see that.
It's only consistent.
There's been a lot of people to write about, Ivy League educations over the years being, not actually as stellar as people had imagined, not actually carrying as far as some might hope.
Well, those would just be like signifiers of wealth more than just like kind of like an upward mobility vehicle.
But it is not as though people who get their Masters of Divinity from Harvard and Yale, it is not as though that their churches are thriving anymore, are doing any better. So when we look at what we can measure, at least in the world of getting a Masters of Divinity and becoming a minister, the quality education isn't rendering results. Everyone is trending in the same downward direction, regardless.
Any chance I could name my band Masters of Divinity? Because that's really fucking cool.
I have to say, it's a pretty solid title.
I'm gonna write that down. Uh, no, over here you can pay for further education if you so desire, but like state-given education generally is pretty good. They will usually see you through college. University is a different thing. If you want to go on to like much further kind of specialized education, there is
What
a
we might
sound
call
money
grad
there.
school or master's, pursuing a master's degree, or do you mean doctoral?
Masters onwards, really. Anything above standard kind of college education. I mean, you can pay for it, and it is what it is. You get what you pay for. But in my experience, I did do it, and I'm an electrical engineer by trade. That's what I do. I don't work in it anymore because the money is shite. I work in the care industry now. But the thing is I found with a lot of other people I went to university with, they go and take all these doctorates and, you know, all this higher education. It's all really, really good until you get out and you're looking for a job in the field. And unfortunately, we kind of live in a place where, like, it's a very, very small place with a very vast population with a lot of skills. So, you know, I know people that went to college for 8 years and work in McDonald's. You know,
yeah.
it's like that. It's soul destroying. So, I mean, I paid for what I wanted to do. I learned what I wanted to do. I didn't complete the full course because I didn't see the point. It was something that would have taken 6 years. I knew what I needed, and I could have worked for that, which I did. But, you know, I was getting to a point in which I was getting into my early 20s, and I thought, hold on, like, I'm still going to be living at home with my parents. And it's not cool, you know, in your 20s when you want to be out having fun and doing.
A lot of people have had to do that, though. Like, that's what the financial reality is for a lot of folks.
Of course, and it's, you know, it's not changing by any means, but it was, you know, the better part of 10 years ago when I was in this situation. So, although it wasn't great because it was, you know, not long after the stock market crash of '08, things were a bit more advantageous at the time. You know, I could afford to live more comfortably if I got out and worked, which is what I had to do. But I couldn't see myself going into my late 20s, early 30s, still living at home, being a master or a doctorate or whatever of my chosen degree, and having bugger all to show for it, but a job in a drive-through, you know? It just didn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, and it's a big commitment to be able to be in school and for education to be your primary objective, and that's costly in terms of time, if not in terms of money.
Yeah. And that's it. I was wanting to get on and start my life and actually do something. So, you know, I needed to get onto the work ladder because I knew that I wasn't going to be supported forever by my family. I mean, I'm from a pretty big family. So, I mean, you know, it's financial strain on everyone. And if I'm not able to help, then that's, you know, that was a bigger thing. I mean, I was working part-time, but it wasn't enough really to support myself financially, even whilst living at my parents, because of having to pay things like rent and food and, you know, electricity, yada, yada, yada.
I had to pay for, I went to college as an independent, so all the cost I took on myself, which is why I have so much debt. And, you know, I'm really thankful for my education. I learned a lot in my undergraduate school and in both my seminary schools, but a lot of the best lessons I learned, some of the most important ones, weren't on the syllabus, weren't in the classroom. They were from these, you know, out of the classroom experiences and interactions I was having that I wasn't getting credit for, that I was getting maybe a small stipend for some of these experiences. And I think that's something that folks don't necessarily realize, that you can go and follow your course credit and learn some things, but if you aren't going an extra mile to connect things further, then you may come away with something that turns out to be impractical, especially depending on what your field of expertise is going to be. And I think some folks, and I think this has been the case for me, we get a little obsessed with education, thinking that, oh, well, once I have this master's, well, once I get this certification or whatever, then doors are going to open, and that's not always lined up with the reality. Sometimes it's a little bit of a false promise that some of these educational institutions, offer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I found I've actually learned more just from experiencing everyday life and the normal lessons you go through. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to almost say, what's the point of college because I didn't learn anything from it. I mean, obviously I did. I went there for long enough. It would be a bad job if I didn't learn something. But, I mean, although a lot of my skill I learned there is practical, it's not practical in everyday life, and you learn a lot more just by kind of, integrating yourself with more people and learning from them.
Yeah, and a lot of people do get that exposure to other people from different cultures or just different backgrounds in a academic setting, or but I don't think that's the only way to get that kind of exposure.
No, of course not. Of course, but it's it is what it is. It is what it is. But like I said, I'm lucky I didn't really go too much into debt for my education. I mean, the course I stayed on, because it was kind of like I paid for like the first 6 months up ahead, and I only did it for 18 months. So I put myself a couple grand in debt, which isn't bad. Literally like £2,000, which is bugger all, really. And when I started working and actually earning good money, I was out of that debt within like 3 months. It was, it's pretty solid. But
that's the dream, to whatever your debt is, that you can get it in proper control in a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wish I hadn't bothered, because although I have the background of electrical engineering, it's really cool and all that. All I really learned to do was solder for the most part, just really clean solder. Admittedly, I'm very, very good at it now, but it's something I would have learned because of my my interest in electrical stuff and guitar anyway. And it's all potentiometers and capacitors and electronic magnets and all that, yada yada yada. I was going to learn to do it eventually, just I got very good supervision doing it at college, or university, whatever. But I don't really rate the education I had there as much as the experiences I had. I mean, as I'm sure most of you know, as I'm sure most of you did anyway, spent most of university kind of attending the odd class here and there, and the rest of the time chasing girls. I was there, man. I did it. I was terrible, but I'm more thankful for the experiences and the knowledge. Because everything needed you can learn in the real world. But getting back to the obsessions part, when you say about spending money on it, you class something as an obsession when it's not education based and you've got yourself in debt over it. I did that. I spent a large part of my mid-20s buying instruments and amplifiers and synthesizers, drum kits, pedals, everything, mixers, you name it, and got myself into debt over it. It was pretty bad, but like
music stuff is expensive.
Oh yeah. You don't realize as well, like music stuff is expensive to buy, but then the upkeep of this stuff is just as expensive. I mean, I currently have. Oh God! Oh no! This is where it's going to become obvious. I live in a 1-bedroom flat, right? I live in a 1-bedroom flat with a ridiculous collection of shit and pets and all that.
So you live in an antique shop.
Basically, yes. In my flat alone, I have 14 guitars and another 12 in storage.
You have how many guitars for how many hands?
I mean, I can play on my feet too, if that helps. I'm not very good, but I can do it.
All right. Well, that justifies it then.
I mean, bass, right? All you need is like the low E string. Just there you go. That's all I can do. I obviously can't do chords on my toes, but that's how I justify. Yeah, that's it. That's all you need. But no, it has become an obsession. But it's, I mean, I justify it by saying everything's got its own use. You know, every guitar is built different and sounds different and electrical tolerances and yada, yada, yada. That's how I justify it. But I just like the way they look, you know. But
I think humans have a collection reflex. As someone who really caught them all several times in the original Pokemon run, like we like to collect things and to have them in some sense.
yes, I mean, human nature in it. But I mean, one of the more expensive things about owning this stuff is actually maintaining it. Like I say, I got 14 guitars in here. I play them all very regularly. It's not like I just pick one up, play it for a few weeks, you know, put it down and yada yada. And I buy several packs of strings every week, and they're like the equivalent of $10 a pack. So I have to buy at least 4 a week because I'm very
4 packs a week. That's an interesting way.
Yeah, I'm very, very heavy-handed. So I break strings like crazy. It's mad. But not only that, I mean, amplifiers are just as bad. Everything's electrical. They all have tolerances and there's things that go. I mean, transformers and capacitors, potentiometers occasionally go on vintage stuff.
Okay, I want to ask Jacob a question because you've given me an idea as you've gone over the details of your music collection. Jacob, are you still awake? Are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I had connection problems for a little while. So if you asked something about 10 minutes ago, I was technically out at the time, but I'm back now.
Nope. This is the first time I'm asking anything of you.
All right.
So Cool Angel has gone over his sort of music collection and the various like equipment he has. What kind of archaeological evidence of collections have you? Is this like something new that humans are doing, or do people like collect things for other than practical purposes in the past in some way also?
People have always collected things. You'll find archaeological remains where there's just like, even in prehistoric sites, there'll just be huge numbers of some type of bone or something. And it's just, you know, why do they have so many bones of a specific type of animal or whatever? And it could be that they're eating them.
I just think they're neat.
Like a specific part of them, right? Or it'll be some... It happens. Like we have... it's hard to know intent sometimes, but like you'll find hordes of objects where there will be a bunch of jars and a bunch of like sometimes collections of scarab beetles in like Egyptian contexts and whatnot. It's hard to know because sometimes these are things that are obviously getting used and they're collected in large numbers for that purpose. But other times it's just, you know, people like things. People have always liked things.
There's a psychological benefit to holding on to objects, right? Or having emotionally invested items.
Controlling what you can when the world seems uncontrollable.
Yeah.
It's also like I feel like it's connected to object constancy, but it's a thing that children do too. It's like they form connections with items as like something outside of them.
Yeah, I think like people in general, we like to own things, and we're just kind of mentally hardwired for that purpose.
Archaeologically or historically, the items that they collect, are they just would they be like categorized as like items that what's the word I'm looking for? Not just like sentimental, but also like tools too.
Oh yeah, I mean, so like here's the thing,
like you found a metaphorical like guy with like his shed of tools like buried with him.
Right. So like sometimes you'll have collections of bronze objects or something, and it's tempting to say like, oh, these are all like religious objects. It's always like the excuse for if you don't know what something is, you say it's like ritual or cultic.
Yeah.
And you know, it usually means we don't know. But yeah, if you find something like that, though, the issue is you don't necessarily know what it means to someone. Like if I go to your house and ask like, why do you have 500 Beanie Babies? You can tell me a story behind it, right? If I just walked into a house and found a giant pile of them, it would be like, do they have kids? Do they have some like specific interest? Is there a backstory or anything? It's a very different thing. So a lot of times when you have these large collections of items, it's very hard to actually get in people's heads like what they get out of them, unless you have.
And you walk into someone's bedroom and you're like, "So you worship Beanie Babies as a sort of ritual, then?"
Exactly. The Beanie Babies are ritual objects.
All hail the Beanie Babies.
Well, we had a friend. They had moved into like a family home, so they're like in the process of cleaning out the house when they moved in. And the basement, there was a whole section of the basement that was just dedicated to. They had like jars of like screws. They had jars of like bolts. Then they had jars of like liquids that we still don't know what's in them. There's a lot of jars full of things, and it's like it's like I couldn't even attempt to kind of ponder the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, my grandfather does that. My grandfather's got like just so many old jars of screws and washers, bolts, and all like that. And I think that goes back to him because I think he's always done it. He's old school. And, back when he was younger, they didn't have much money. They had to repair everything. And so he kind of seen it as, always needing this stuff around just in case there's ever something, specifically needed to fix or build something. I mean, lack of money at the time. It was a necessity. It was there, and if you could do something with it, you did something with it. So, I mean, he's still got it now. Like, if I walk into his garage, he's got, like, jars of bolts that are, like, 40 years old. Never used them, refuses to get rid of them, just in case, he needs them one day. He's got the mindset of, well, I could get rid of them, but what if I need them tomorrow?
Right.
Like, oh, okay.
As I get older, I appreciate that mindset a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it was a make do and improvise kind of generation, wasn't it?
Well, I observed there seems to be an interesting relationship between like people who are still kind of had the experience of the Depression era and like their children and their relationship with like items and possessions.
And their concept of scarcity being a little more acute than people who didn't grow up in a time like the Depression.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. I mean, my grandfather was born at the end of the Second World War. He was born November. No, it wasn't November. Shit, it was July. Sorry, my other grandfather's November,
July's a
July
good month.
19. Yeah, July 1945. So right towards the end. And so he lived in a place that was relatively close to London, if you know about, the Blitz and all that. The place was flattened, and they were still repairing. It took them the better part of 10 years to repair and get anything back to kind of normality. I mean, the place was fucking leveled, dude. It's ridiculous. So, he grew up with that mindset of every little thing kind of goes somewhere, can be used in some way. And, he kind of brought that up with him. He's just never changed, which, I mean, it's good if you ever need him to do something. He's an incredibly handy dude.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's also
Product of that environment and time period.
I think there's also the dynamic where if you've ever had to repair something and needed something for it, but not necessarily known where to go to pick up that thing.
Being one screw
Worst
short as you're
experience.
trying to fix something's gotta piss you off so bad.
If you don't know where a hardware store is, or worse, if a hardware store will have it, because what if you make the trek and it doesn't have it? It's a stressful experience. It lives in the back of your mind that you can't prop up this table or properly or whatever.
I accidentally blew out a fuse trying to jumpstart my car, and the fuse that I needed was literally 45 minutes away at a dealership, and it was the only place I could get it from. It was really, really making me wish that I'm gonna get more of those for the future. I'm not making a 45-minute drive every time.
Yeah, I'm lucky my grandfather keeps all shit like that. He's not throwing away anything in decades I thought could be useful. He's that dude that you just go to. He's got everything. He's incredible. I'm a pretty handy dude. I like to think I'm pretty handy anyway. But that guy is unbelievable. You could take him a block of wood, say I need a table, and he would just have absolutely everything to make you the finest table you've ever seen. Dude is incredible.
I want to give a low toilet sitter an opportunity to introduce themselves and maybe talk about an obsession they've had at some point.
Well, hello everybody. I caught the beginning of it, so I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about, but I do have I can contribute to what we just said. My growing up, like you had said, my dad was part of, he was a, what do you call it, a boomer generation, and he always loved cars. And growing up, we always didn't have a lot of money, so he would always work on cars and things like that to kind of keep it going. And so thankfully he's still alive, and he lives maybe 10 minutes away or something like that. And if I ever need a part for a car, the only thing I have to do is go over there and say, hey, Dad, I need a bolt or a nut or AC compressor or a jack for a car or a spanner or anything you can possibly think of. And he's like, oh, yeah, let me go and check the drawer. And then when my uncle died and then my other uncle died, he kind of took his car parts, or not parts, but, little nuts and bolts and stuff like that, and just added it to his very heavy what do you call it? Tool drawer for the car. So
I love the version of let me go check the drawer. Let me go check. You have it.
Yeah, he's got a drawer and he's got a big metal. I don't know, for lack of a better term, I'll call it it's not like a closet, but it's just this big metal. What do you call it? Closet, I guess, or whatever. That just.
Oh, I know what you mean. It's a massive toolkit thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, and he's got stuff on the hung up on the in the garage wall, and I'm just oh my goodness. And that just kind of came from necessity with him growing up. needing to fix cars, and then he always had a very strong interest in cars, and then our cars always broke down, so that's kind of how that came to be.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, I can almost mimic your experience of my grandfather. I mean, my grandfather actually was in car manufacturing for 30, 35, 40 years, something like that.
That's an industry insider.
Yeah, dude, it was amazing because like my first 3 cars were all the brand that he worked with. So if anything went wrong, I would jokingly blame him and be like, let me sort it out. And he would fix it, tune it up, and make it absolutely fucking immense. Like, my cars run like butter, dude. They were so good. But unfortunately, I doubt you would know the brand. Rover.
Try me. Oh, okay.
Rover, yeah. Very, very English brand. Fantastic cars. Some of them were really ugly. Some were very boring. But they were usually pretty damn reliable. And some of them were pretty friggin' quick. But no, like you say, Low Toilet says, it's great to have that kind of that fallback and just like, yeah, let me go grab that. It's just, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Everyone's going to have their different lengths of wire drawer or their pile of parts or, whatever it is you're holding on to. I know I've got a bunch of random tech stuff, hard drives in case one dies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to a friend the other day about how much easier it is to like pick up hobbies when you live in families or you have parents who've already like started a collection of the items you need for said hobby.
Second generation collection.
Right. Second generation collection. Yeah. We were talking about one friend. He was talking about he went skiing. He's like, I wanted to go skiing. I had never gone before. So I was like, I just went to like my uncle's and just got his skis. And they're like, we were thinking of how many like older family members you have or of members who helped you like start hobbies or helped you start passions or even obsessions with like, their collections and then, investing time into it. Very interesting.
I
Actually,
just hope that one day I find an opportunity to use all these fast food ketchup packets that I've been gathering.
The day will come.
Yeah, I can take those off your hands if you like.
And the archaeologist comes into your room thousands of years later and says, he worshipped ketchup packets or used them in some sort of ritual. I just love that.
Exactly.
Everything will just look like a religious practice in 1,000 years.
Exactly.
You have no clue.
Actually, I thought about this. Now that we're talking about obsessions, and it kind of, I'm not going to say it's necessarily an obsession, but my mom loves to collect angels and teddy bears. Very different things. So she loves angels. She loves teddy bears. She's loved them since the day she was born and everything like that. And then my aunt, who actually is a retired minister, but I always joke that you're never a retired, even though you stop going on Sundays doesn't mean you're ever a retired minister. She loves nativity scenes, and she has an immense collection of nativity scenes during Christmas. They're everywhere. They're from all different countries. Any kind of cultural, any kind of different culture that would make a nativity scene, she would have it. So you've got things from like one of people in our church before he moved was from Nigeria, and he's like, hey, we have these nativity scenes. When I come back from Nigeria, do you want me to, get you some? And she's like, yeah, of course. So what I did is I went through her entire house and just nativity scene. And she even said, she's like, do you want some of these nativity scenes? And with me growing up, seeing all these nativity scenes when I was younger, I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not going to take all of them because there's like, I counted more than like 50, I think. But,
wow. They're like a museum.
It is. It really is like a museum. There's some from the 60s, and there's some from, well, I'm not sure what she's purchased recently, but yeah, there's some from way, way before I was born.
Well, and in this case, the thousands of years in the future archaeologist would actually be close to correct, saying, "Oh, she worshipped nativity scenes and angels." Like, well, not worship, but pretty close. That's actually pretty close.
I really, really hope that when I die, all of my stuff gets caught in a fire or some shit, because I know what archaeologists are like. I do not want an archaeologist coming into my place going, "Wow, this dude's got so many guitars, a lot of pedals, and an obscene amount of anime."
But you see, the site I'm studying was destroyed in fire, and that's the reason it's preserved so well, because all the buildings.
Oh
collapsed.
no!
You don't want to wish
son
for
of a
that.
bitch! No!
Just
People going to put my fucking body pillows! What?
Similar to the angel thing, my grandma has a pig figure collection where she hasn't collected them on purpose, but at some point people started giving her pigs. And she's just
I would
kept
take
them
that
all.
as an insult.
And
I would
so
be mad.
there's a like shelf that is just all little pig figures.
I get that. My mum did the same with what's called a bad taste bear. They're kind of like little model things, and they're teddy bears doing. Oh, if you want to laugh, look them up. They're fucking brilliant. They're like teddy bears doing obscene shit. There's like one teddy bear in like.
Is this Rule 34 stuff?
It was pre-Rule 34.
Oh, this is raunchy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's filthy hilarious.
Now we're
stuff.
getting upvotes for
It's
mentioning
like,
Rule
Garbage
34.
Kids.
What kind of audience do we have here?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty raunchy.
Rule 34. Yeah. If you
I
fancy
have an
Google it,
archaeological
Google.
question. If Jacob's taking archaeological questions right now.
I guess always I am.
So, from our perspective, it seems a lot like the ancient Egyptians were really obsessed with death, or at least the Egyptian pharaohs were. Do you think that that's accurate at all, or do you think it's just that the things about their death are what survived, and that's what we see? So that's how it seems to us.
Mostly the latter, honestly. Tombs are just by nature tend to be put in the ground and tend to have a lot of things in them.
But a lot of jars, and we've had collections of
like
jars
built
and
in.
collections of figures. So
Yeah.
are we all just doing the ancient Egyptian thing over and over again?
I mean, I suppose, but I think those are kind of human universals. But like,
I know when I
Well, at
die,
least
I'm
once you
putting
get,
my
like,
kidneys in a
agricultural
jar.
civilization.
No questions.
no, I think when we talk about like the reason we talk about death so much when we talk about ancient civilizations is because that's what they leave us very nicely.
Makes
I'm
sense.
still worried about death today in the same ways, and I think it's probably to a similar level.
Is there any not correlation, but is there any kind of relation or not when it comes to, like, with burials, and people think that there's all kinds, there's nice stuff or whatever, and then of course the only example I can think of is Pompeii, where it kind of gives you a bit of a kind of like
freeze
a day in
frame,
the
you might
life of-
say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you look at it, it's just kind of like, okay, well, this is pretty much exactly how they lived. And then when you see, like, tombs or burial sites where it's a little bit more formal, is there any kind of difference or similarity between those two things?
Yeah, we actually so it's funny you bring up Pompeii, because the term for that is the Pompeii effect, just because it's like the really, really well-known example where you have something that's like totally preserved because of some environmental situation. One of my favorite sites, my favorite archaeological site in Europe is Akrotiri, which is a Cycladic site. So a group similar to the Minoans and at the same time in some of the other Greek islands that was buried in ash during the eruption of Santorini in the 1600s BC. And you can basically walk through the re-excavated streets from where they took the ash out And it's a very different thing from like where you're used to seeing monumental structures that are like built to last. Because if you compare that to, like, for instance, the largest pre-modern city that ever existed, Angkor in Cambodia, before they did LiDAR tests or LiDAR surveys on the jungle, there was just one giant temple basically as like the center of this this metropolis. And then on scanning it later, they found out, oh, this was actually a massive city, multiple times larger than classical Rome. And yeah, that sort of thing happens where, like, most of the time what gets preserved is what's either set somewhere that it will be preserved, or what's built specifically to be so impressive that it manages to stand up to the elements. And that's called preservation bias. It's a well-known phenomenon, and every once in a while we have to check it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Pretty cool.
so you brought up European archaeology. I don't know how familiar you are with general European archaeology, but one thing that's always really, really interested me, and this is obviously because of my close vicinity to it. In fact, I live about 20 minutes away from it, that being Stonehenge. What do you make of it? Because I know what a lot of other people think of it, and it's thought to be pagan and all that, but
I wasn't obsessed with Stonehenge, but it was the first wallpaper background on the first computer I ever bought. I was very satisfied with that.
If you're familiar with the Norwegian singer Ylvis, or comedian Ylvis, it's a group of comedians, actually. They have a song about being obsessed with Stonehenge.
Can we play the X-Files theme?
But no,
we do not have the rights to the X-Files theme. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Get sued by whoever owns X-Files. So with Stonehenge, like, I mean, it's not a unique structure. It's pre-Celtic, so the like language group of the people who constructed it is pretty much lost. But we can say quite a bit about it. They were farmers. Agriculture in Europe is actually a lot older than most people tend to guess. And Britain has had agricultural societies for at least 5,000 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And so, yeah, Stonehenge is like the product of settled people who were farmers. It is prehistoric in the sense that it is like older than written records in Britain, but not in the world. It's actually younger than the pyramids of Egypt.
Prehistory is sort of an arbitrary thing sometimes, sort of because of that preservation bias, right?
Yeah, and it has to do with where writing is. And so I tend to avoid the term for most things after like the rise of civilization and Sumer, simply because it tends to mislead people on timelines, I think. But you will see it thrown around all the time for later stuff. Like anything in pre-colonial Australia gets called prehistoric because, there's no writing there before Europeans show up. However, that kind of does a disservice to oral traditions which exist, especially about ancient rock art and stuff. So Stonehenge, I'd say, like, in general, it's not a unique site in Europe either. There are other like large standing stone sites. It's just a really, really cool one, and a really well kept one, and one that there's been like myths that have emerged over the years, like it was built by Merlin or whatever.
Yeah, that was a fun one. But what I find probably most fascinating about it is kind of how it originated there, because it's said that the stones themselves are Welsh. So
Yeah.
how the hell did they get them all the way from Wales?
You can do a lot with log rollers and basically guiding sticks. But no, the man hours on constructing that would have been insane. This was a population of people being directed by some sort of authority to build it. Almost certainly.
Does it have a primary function or purpose other than being Nito Burrito? Like, I've heard people say it's a calendar of some kind. I don't know if
It
that's
does
true.
have like astronomical alignments with the movement of the sun at different parts of the year. I think the solstice. That's why like neo-pagans still gather there on the solstice.
There's actually been quite a lot of raves there, a lot of parties and stuff
Really?
around it. Oh,
That's
dude, I've been to some absolutely bonkers parties there where it's straight up just debauchery. Just people drinking, smoking drugs, and fucking all around it. It's incredible.
my oh my.
I mean, you're not allowed within like 20 foot of it, but like the immediate vicinity, absolutely incredible.
So Void Boy has joined us. I'm glad you could make it, Void Boy.
Hey, I'm only here to listen. Can't stay for long, but hello.
Hello.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, oh.
Appreciate it. Hi.
I have a question. So, where did the cultural significance of Stonehenge come from if there were so many similar sites throughout Europe? I mean, is this something that society, I'm not really sure, kind of latched onto 100, 200 years ago, or was it just something that was so well preserved? Or, I mean, because if there were more, why are we so obsessed? There you go, about Stonehenge and not the other sites? Or is that just part of what do you call it, the outside of academic circles? You know, you hear Stonehenge, you're like, well, there's a whole bunch of them. But in general population, people are just love it.
I admittedly don't know, but I have a few guesses. And one of them is that it made its way into Arthurian legend. Like, there has long been talk about Merlin building the stones, or alternatively that was used by Druids. It, of course, predates Celtic Druidism in Britain by quite a bit. The other thing is, I think we're here speaking English. It's in England. The other sites of like similar preservation that are like megalithic, Neolithic sites in Europe, like Karnak in France, are not in England. There are other standing stone sites.
Are you saying that ethnocentrism is playing a role here? I'm shocked.
I would, yeah. I mean, I don't think that this is a hot take. I don't think that the Roman Empire would have been as popular, for instance, with history buffs in the English-speaking world if it hadn't conquered large portions of Western Europe.
Interesting idea.
Yeah, the Roman.
We learn about the history of countries that we associate with our own history, and in the English-speaking world, we all look at Britain if we go far back enough. So,
the Romans will typically destroy most holy sites on purpose when they were colonizing. And what's interesting is that they've basically, through most of the first century, they've have that south area of England kind of, pretty locked in. I think during the reign of the five good emperors, they were pretty much like, starting building walls. Hadrian's Wall, for one instance, it was being built. So they were pretty much, I'm not sure if they were aware of Stonehenge, but they should have been.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So I'd have to check this. I'm pretty sure there's Roman records of it that kind of wonder at it, and they tend to like associate it with the Druids.
The Druids. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't they kept it or just they didn't care.
I think so. The Romans didn't tend to like destroy sites willy-nilly. It was generally more like, this is to prove a point. If there's no resistance there, then whatever. The
Yeah.
Romans were kind of into like antiquarianism themselves. They wandered this world that they realized was full of really neat old stuff. And sometimes, they were really into that. There's a reason that there's like Egyptian obelisks all over the former Roman world. Part of it is that they moved there in the imperial period, but part of it is just that they like thought it was cool that there was this civilization of such age.
And there's a reason why the Americans ripped it off. We're like, oh yeah, give us some of those obelisks.
Now there's one in Central Park.
Yeah, it's a display of power. Like Romans love to put themselves in the canon of great empires, and they did that with Troy. They did that with the Etruscans. Now, I took a little bit of like Neolithic history. It was more focused on art, and there is kind of like every now and then there's like I guess archaeological gold rushes whenever interest in a certain ancient culture or an ancient artifact is revived. They usually do that.
Napoleon did that pretty well. Yeah, it happens. I think what I will emphasize with like the Romans and like how they see the ancient past as well is I think a lot of the times we talk about them as more like xenophobic as a culture than they really were. When you read like Roman writings, you see all the time this fascinated interest in the outside world, even if it's through the lens of, well, they're not totally civilized. There's still this like, desire to learn from it. There's a reason why like emperors would go and fawn over the body of Alexander the Great. It's because they were genuinely really interested in that and really fascinated by that antiquity. Stonehenge is just the interesting case where, unlike Egypt, no one could read a history related to it, right? It was just like, it's just this thing that was there unexplained. So
I wanted to ask, was there a fair amount of pluralism under the Roman Empire? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Wasn't there a difference between how they treated someone they were actively conquering versus a territory they had conquered and sort of settled for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, there was that. It was both. If you were to be civilized in the Roman way, it was to like speak Latin well and to essentially participate in Roman institutions like public toilets and all that.
Wow,
so
such status.
Civilization was urbanism, and it was planned urbanism and Latin civic life, or Greek, because a lot of the Romans were really into that. But like, and so generally places were looked down on further if they were less urbanized, like Britain, as compared to like Greece or Egypt.
Wasn't Britannia considered like kind of a backwater to Rome for a lot of its
in fact,
history?
it was like never financially profitable for the empire as a province.
Did they use it for mining, or at least try to use it for mining?
There was mining there. I think there was tin. And
yeah, that's in Wales. It was all tin in Wales.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because as you say, they did consider it like a backwater for the most part, but also when they came here and they settled, they really, really put their feet down and properly settled. I mean, I don't know if you know about the spa town of Bath. Like,
they have like a huge bathhouse there, right?
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah. Again, I'm pretty close to that as well, but like you just wouldn't believe how exceptional it is. And I mean, for a place that they didn't really consider much more than a backwater, they put in a hell of a lot of effort to make it as opulent.
Well, if they were going to go there, they wanted to have the comforts of Rome. So they sort of like wanted to export that for their own
they have to bring
benefit.
"quote unquote" civilization, as they would think of it.
It's like us going to like the Amazon and be like, "What? No cell phone service? Oh my god, this is so uncivilized."
Time
Let's
to fix
build a
it.
tower.
Build a big tower. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Right.
if Britain was considered, not, civilized, compared to Romans and things like that, and I'm sure, things don't last forever. So and
No,
with,
nothing's
Britain
changed.
being the powerhouse that it is, so I mean, if you were to do an excavation of the general area of where a lot of the places of power were, and this is all, like, I guess I don't want to say conspiracy theory, but I will say conspiracy theory. What do you think that you would find over history
You
that
mean
would be
like
buried?
you mean like if you were to dig in London or something?
Yeah, like dig in London or dig, like just anywhere where the British, I don't, how do I want to say this? If major parts of England were destroyed and we could just dig it up, do you think
If we had another
we could
great
just dig it
fire.
up? Would there be any evidence of um I guess you could say of anything similar that we're talking about that you could do? Because I mean, if it was considered like uncivilized, I would imagine that there's a lot of really good history and some probably really cool, I don't know, things, or maybe technology, or maybe kind of, just anything that would be of interest. But I mean, of course, you can't level out,
Yeah, I mean,
major city.
London was founded as a Roman city. So it was founded twice, because originally it was called Londinium in Latin. And it was sort of a secondary city to the original capital of the province of Britannia, which was Camulodunum. And then Boudica's revolt happened, and she burned both cities down. And so they rebuilt it. And Londinium basically became the capital of Roman Britannia after that. So actually, yeah, London was basically founded twice by the Romans. And you would find that. But the thing is, this is the thing about like modern cities and their footprints, is they're huge compared to what ancient ones were. Most of these like ancient cities we're talking about, ancient power centers, would be like mid-sized towns today.
Our populations are huge now, and we forget that. Like, we just see our populations as normative.
Yeah, like London is a massive sprawling place. Anything before like the Industrial Revolution, if you're like charting the footprint of London, is going to be in like a very concentrated area relative to that. And that's kind of how it goes with a lot of cities. What's another good example? Jerusalem, for instance. The like historic footprint of Jerusalem is a very small area compared to where it's swelled with like modern Zionist settlement, because like it was never actually a huge city in the world until the modern period made it boom, and that's pretty typical, honestly. Ancient cities are just not near as big as modern ones, with only a few exceptions. Like Rome itself was huge, Angkor was huge, Tenochtitlan was huge, but the modern cities at all of those, except for Angkor, I suppose, are still considerably larger.
So we'd be really looking for a finger instead of an entire hand, I guess you could say, when it comes to ancient cities. I'm just looking at my hand right now because I'm holding my phone. That's the only
basically
thing I could think of.
Not that these cities weren't like huge sometimes, or like bustling places of culture, but like the
There
modern
just weren't as many
modern
people
super
there.
city.
Yeah,
is
there
a
weren't as
very-
many people.
Yeah.
So, in your archaeological experience or study, are there any like obsessions? Are there any things that like cultures seem to like? The only thing, oh, I have thunder now. Ooh, boy, maybe I'll get struck off the internet. The only thing I can think of is like taking trophies from your fallen enemies in various ways. That's the only sort of like. I imagine like we might see that as an obsession, but that's like a soldier's medals of honor or something like that. Are there other sorts of collections and obsessions that happen in archaeological findings?
I mean, I guess you can frame anything as an obsession. Like the difficult part is if you're looking at objects.
So, like, what about knife collections? Because I feel like that's something that's impractical, right? You can only wield so many knives or swords at a time.
I honestly am not too familiar with knife collections that I can think of. I guess there's Zhou Dynasty. The Zhou Dynasty of China has like metal tools that were used as currency, but I don't know if that really counts as an obsession.
That's an interesting idea for currency, that it should have a practical use as well.
Yeah, like the earliest metallic currency is basically standardized sized tools. They have like a practical use.
I like that. Let's bring that back.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen.
But no, I don't know.
Well, I guess obsession of items. I guess you would archaeology thinking like the Silk Road and just like maybe exotic
spices.
Oh, yeah.
Right, spices. Yeah, trade goods, and then how they kind of boom.
Mm-hmm. And how people make up like stories about them. Like Marco Polo says that the reason that pepper grains are black is because they grow in India and the trees are covered in snakes and everyone has to light the trees on fire to safely harvest them. And that you can just imagine that, like, you know, Marco Polo writing that is like, these suckers want pepper. I'm going to make it more interesting.
That makes a lot of
Or
sense.
or I imagine he was high on something when he was trying to describe it.
Probably opium.
I think about that too. People describing things in just like, you know, I find a lot of people are use hyperbole a lot in casual conversation, and I'm thinking like you got to think people are describing things and they write them, and then the only knowledge you have is what someone wrote about it. You know, in their interpretation of the experience, and how that can just create stories and obsessions about getting said items and material.
So I guess Marco Polo was one of the first types of advertisers.
Oh, the Travels is just an advertisement text for like his trading family. That's what it is. It's like,
well, that makes sense too. He'd be like, the idea, like, if you wanted to raise the price for any reason, be like, oh man, I have to burn down a tree to bring you a single peppercorn to be ground up. You know how much hard work this is? You have no idea. That's why our prices are going up. No other reason.
Are you suggesting that Marco Polo was the first like holiday agent?
Oh, probably not the first. Like, but yeah,
holiday agent.
I'm
not familiar with this term.
He was
I definitely
like travel writing. Like when Columbus sailed,
travel
like,
agent.
He had been reading Marco Polo and it's like, I've got see, there's a good obsession. Columbus wanted to get to Asia, right? And he was really into trade, and also this weird idea that Prester John was over there and there could be a crusade. But like, that's like totally spurred by these travel writings about the riches of the East and everything there is to find there in the medieval period by Marco Polo and others.
Right. And that would be part of like the business plan, right? It's like part of bringing exotic material from there is you have to like spur up the imaginations of people of where it came from.
Yeah, make it special. It's like
Mm.
I mean, it's like advertisers today.
Mm-hmm.
The weird Burger King ads where they're like zooming around the burger with the camera. It's like, look how cool you can make this. It's just that, but with written words and thousands upon thousands of miles.
Actually, that reminds me of what do you call it? Like water, like bottled water, like Fiji and some other stuff. It's like we take the finest water from the most distant lands.
Oh, and
bottle it
Poland Spring too.
and
Or
give
like
it to-
ionized water where it's like
Yeah, every water's got a gimmick.
nothing.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, we just got this from a tap and filtered it.
Yeah.
I know a funny thing. I was in pharmacy for a long time, and it's funny how advertising and kind of changes people's perspective on things. Where they started, it was like a thing where everyone was concerned with how much like calcium they were getting. Right, like I need calcium D. So all the labels changed from the multivitamin saying with vitamin D in it. So like I would always get questions like, "Oh, is this the right one? Is this the right one?" I'm like, they all have vitamin D. They've always had vitamin D in it. It's just now they want you to know it's in there. That's why they put it on the label. There's like no other reason why it's on the label. Is because like they know you're looking for it, and just like changing. Just like it's funny how people's like perception of things and like how much they want something changes when you just like switch one little thing like that.
I am one of those people. When I was looking at vitamins, I was like, wait, what's the difference between this and this? It's like now with vitamin D, or like it includes this. And I'm like, oh, should I, okay, am I getting the wrong one?
I gotta start selling gluten-free milk or something.
Yeah, a lot of it is responsive to what they believe, like the collective consciousness of like people's knowledge of things. Like I work in grocery stores now, so like I can tell you for the most part, something being labeled organic, it tells you very little about what process it went through, because the term is so loose. There's actually, I think they were saying there was one farmer in order to sell crops that were like free of pesticides, all their crops had to be free of pesticides. So they would sell like a portion of them that would get labeled like no pesticides, and then they would sell the other one to the one that didn't say it, or and it would just all be the same thing. It's like none of my stuff has pesticides. It's just one label says that it does, and the other one doesn't, and it's just all the same. But you pay like a different price for it.
Wash your fruits and vegetables, people. That's what matters.
Yes, exactly.
So like pesticides that are like GMO pesticides in general are like don't affect humans at all. It's only like the chemical ones that actually do. So a lot of like genetically modified pest resistant plants are just not actually harmful to humans at all.
Washing vegetables is what I do for a living.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I know that was messed up, but like I couldn't turn down the joke. I'm sorry.
I'm speechless.
Is that first time? I don't know
No, but it is pretty
before.
uncommon, so you should be proud.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry.
What?
I'll shut up now.
You put yourself in the corner. No one else put you in the corner.
I know where I belong.
I'm willing to admit that I think I have become obsessed with the internet and a variety of times in a variety of ways. I know there's been like especially when there's like something going on in the news and you're like, oh, this is one of those history book kind of things that's going to go on. Sometimes I'm really drawn to the fire of watching that unfold and people talk about that as it happened. I think the last time was probably January 6th when there was the attack on the Capitol, that there was so much good Star Wars content coming in from TikTok that it was hard not to sort of like nihilistically laugh at the chaos of the moment. And that was, fun and twisted all at the same time.
I'll be honest, being
it's a
from
coping
overseas,
mechanism often to laugh at things that it's frankly effective. Like if you don't want to sink in despair, sometimes you just got to find things funny.
There was some funny stuff too, like people just, I think at the time also there was this trending visual thing where like somehow only a person's eyes and mouth would exist and they could be projected over people with various amounts of care. So people were like projecting their mouth and eyes over, the rioters, and then, putting Star Wars dialogue to it. And it was just beautiful. I couldn't look away. I wish I could have snapshotted the historical moment for the humor somehow.
Well, I always thought that was an interesting, like, especially with like memes and like this reactionary stuff. They talk about like stress and the creativity that comes out of that. So it's just very interesting seeing like people come up with very creative ways to just like take moments and just like change them into something else as like, kind of a response.
I feel like it's the modern equivalent of like the American Revolutionary War started and some painter sets himself up on a hill. It's like, oh, I should be pretty safe here, and like paints the battle and then like goes shows pictures of the battle he painted. That like we're just sort of doing it through memes, I guess.
that's generally how I get my news, through memes. And
If it's important enough, it'll show up in the memes.
that's it. That's it. I don't need anything else. That's all I need.
Yeah,
But,
I admittedly found like the other day in the Discord server when I like shared the news that like India had moved up to the world's like 5th largest economy. That was just because I saw it in a meme and then went and looked for sources. I was like,
Oh, good.
Well, I have an
It's as if
archaeology
Walter
question.
Cronkite found it like in a meme that is reporting it in the nightly news.
Oh, I have an archaeology question, I think.
Okay.
Can memes be seen as just a form of language?
I would say that they are symbolic art that incorporates language.
Okay. Is that like
They're
similar
not quite
to
hieroglyphics.
Right. Is there relation? What's the correlation between like where hieroglyphics are and like kind of like memes?
Hieroglyphics literally spell out things you can read and speak.
Okay.
Yeah, they are like writing. Some of them are
like
straight up
transcriptions.
Yeah, some of them are straight up words, and others are like phonetically writing out sets of consonants that can be used to piece together words. They don't have vowels, but they have consonants.
What is there a term for like interpretive, or like what's the other word I'm looking for? Perspective, murals.
Well, wasn't there a lot of like sort of vandalism in Rome and stuff like that?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, graffiti is as old as writing itself, and probably older. Like there's cave art that covers up other cave art. Like
oh snap!
It's the beginning of time, or the beginning of art.
That's not how you draw an ox. This is how you draw an ox, you pleb.
So there's a cave where everything's just like scratched out. It's like all those drawings. Everyone just scratched them all out.
People
Yeah,
would
draw better
imagine if it
ones.
spit you on the ass.
Even in like the Lascaux caves, there's like art that just crosses over other art, and animals that like cover up other animals in different styles and stuff. Like people have always said, I can add something here.
What I love, particularly about Roman stuff, is the fact that they were just like the scribblings of the everyday person. It wasn't anything, too interesting, but it was just a lot of the time it was like dissing other people. It was complete bullshit. It was amazingly funny.
The graffiti of Pompeii is great. I can't remember. My favorite is something like, it's so vulgar. It's something like, it's written on the outside of a brothel in Pompeii. And it says, like, weep femininity for my penis has given you up. Now it goes after men's behinds or something like that.
You turned me gay, basically.
Oh, god damn. These Romans.
People are always people.
Yeah. Oh. What I love about it is the obsession with dicks as well. Fucking cocks everywhere.
Well, it's
fucking
an obsession
Romans.
with sex too. Like, I was listening to this podcast and they were trying to like determine if they had like archaeological evidence of the first like joke or sort of like funny story. And it involves a dog walking into a brothel. And no one's been like, we are so removed from the cultural context that like we don't know if it's a joke, but it feels like all the pieces are there because like you've got a brothel, and why would a dog be there? And like, Jacob, I'm sure you could say more on it.
I think I know the joke. It's a dog walks into, I think the tavern is one of the other.
It's highly interpretive, yeah.
It's like a dog walks into a tavern. It's Sumerian. He says, "I can't see. I'll open this one." We don't know what it means, and there's like a debate about what it's referring to. It might mean he can't see because his eyes are closed and needs to open them, as like one of the go-tos. Or there's like, it's because, you know, something's going on behind this partition and he wants to see, to peep.
Or has he lost his vision and now he's trying to escape and blindly opening doors?
I don't know. It's probably some like very like Sumerian cultural reference, but it's just lost to us.
I thought it was the dog was maybe a little deep into somebody and he can't see because he's performing an act. That's
oh boy.
That's I mean, I'm just trying to think because like,
I suggesting the dog is balls deep.
Yeah, like because he couldn't see, and I mean, dogs have noses, and he was, you know, kind of in there, and that's like, I mean, that's maybe an interpretation.
The real joke is all of us trying to fucking figure out what it is, right? I hope
I
that
love the cultural significance that thousands of years later, there's a bunch of pillocks in a group chat talking about how this joke could be perceived.
The joke is on us.
It truly is.
Maybe it's just one of those things that like some kid said one day, like you know when like a little kid walks up to their parents and like says, "I'm going to tell you a joke," and it just doesn't connect to anything. It's just a string of words.
Because children are psychopaths, so that's why like a lot of stuff doesn't make sense.
I prefer to
it's
call
hilarious.
Them I much prefer
I'm a
the
big
Chinese
fan of.
idiots.
I used to teach kids in like summer science classes, and in elementary school and middle school, and some of the like really young ones. It's very fun when they'll just walk up and like tell you a joke, but the joke is they haven't actually come up with the end of it yet. They just start it and like, they're trying to finish it as they go. One was like, a kid walked up to me and said, "What did the wolf say?" And I was like, "I don't know." And they said, "I don't either." And they walked away.
Oh God! I was on holiday a few weeks ago in a little, kind of like a little seaside town over here in England, and they had like a little kind of kids entertainer on, and it was your standard fare, you know, magician and all these silly dancing and party games, yada yada yada. He had a point in which he asked kids to come up and tell jokes. I thought, oh, here we go. The absolute abysmal jokes I'm going to hear are going to be awful. And there was, a few like knock knock and why did the chicken cross the road? And I'm just sort of rolling my eyes like, fuck yeah, now. None of these kids know any decent jokes. And one kid come up. I would have said this kid is about 5 or 6 years old, somewhere around that. And the kid said, what's the difference between a prostitute and a drug dealer? I was like,
oh, it doesn't matter what the punchline is. Oh, my God.
Oh, no! And the entire room just burst out with laughing. And this entertainer's like, okay, anyway, good job, well done, don't forget, go on. That kid practically had a line of people coming up to him going, what's the punchline? Admittedly,
that kid doesn't know how cool he was in that moment or why.
No, I did it too. I was like, I got to fucking know. What's the punchline? A prostitute can wash her crack and sell it again. Ah! Yes!
That's a good one.
From the mouths of babes.
Oh my God, I was fucking dying. Honestly. I couldn't believe it. Like, it just made the entire weekend, man. Because all those other jokes, it was like they were a fucking setup. Because that joke hit so hard. The entire room just... Oh, my God.
It was a long joke.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that long of a joke, but like, oh my God, dude. Amazing.
Well, that actually brings up a
idea.
good question with how fast with how fast everything, information moves, and the dog joke and things like that. There, a lot of things were pretty localized, and so you can kind of get a pretty good idea of the culture in a very local spot. But a lot of that, all of it is physical. And with digital, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do digital archaeology, hopefully, maybe at some point in the future, with so much, because everything is globalized now, and memes and jokes go by so quickly.
Will our memes just be dreams? Will they not live on after us?
I would hope so, just to get an idea of what it is. So
this is going to make Pepe so sad.
Yeah, I know. So is there anything like, if there's going to be no physical evidence of it, I mean, but we can pull digital, very, very old digital archives at some point, would that even get a good idea on, say, the pulse or jokes or whatever of, let's say, the United States versus Australia? Because if so much information and so many jokes are going by so quickly, is there even a good way or a way to get a pulse on society, say, I don't know, 500 years from now, or 1,000 or whatever it is?
I feel like you'd have to conceptualize the subcultures that exist, because like for example, on this site we're on right now, sure, there's places that sort heavily by geography, but like we're not here necessarily because entirely of factors that are country specific. We're here because we like dank Christian memes, for instance. If someone tried to reconstruct the culture of this community, not knowing what the community was, if they got 10 random memes from this sub and I don't know, 10 random memes from r/dank memes, and didn't differentiate, they might conclude that the whole society is obsessed with Jesus jokes, right?
Well, I mean, our little corner of it certainly is. That's what we deal in.
Correct. If they sectioned it off, I feel like we already have to do this to understand how subculture works.
But we also have a physical problem, that future archaeology on this time period, whether we're talking today or this year or this decade, will depend on how good our archivists are, things like the Wayback Machine, and how good future archaeologists, the ability of future archaeologists to restore our digital media, like our hard drives and things like that.
And I would say towards jokes and they're kind of cultural or time stamping them. there's like the connection to the idea of the court jester, who's like, the jokester, and the idea was that the court jester's job was to remind the king that he's human, and that the kind of job of the jester in society is to critique said society. And a lot of times they do it in the way of humor, but a lot of comedians and jokes are a lot of times they are a commentary on something that's actually very prevalent that we all have a kind of collective consciousness of. I believe what's his name, the comedian from The Watchmen is that kind of like flip side of that. So if you're looking at jokes in a cultural kind of context or time stamping them, jokes very much could give a lot of insight into culturally what was going on and what people's kind of like understandings of them were.
That's a really good insight.
Well, I think if I want to be as grandiose as possible, and I do for a moment, I'm sorry if it's loud behind me, I am in a thunderstorm, that I compare our current day memes to like the stained glass windows in cathedrals that were used to teach people way back in the day that these images from both pop culture and religious contexts have significance to us, and we use that to talk about it, whether we're making dumb jokes about sex in the Bible or whether someone's actually like making some sort of theological point, which is cool, but rarely are the deep theological memes the ones that get all the upvotes.
And there are stained glass windows everywhere. Everywhere.
I guess the cultural significance would be that everybody was doing it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, not just those that had a lot of power within the church. It was anybody could do it, can do it.
I wish I could make our our theme on our subreddit just like a stained glass window version of all the various memes. Prayerful Pepes.
I pictured that stained glass from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, right. Yeah, they love their stained glass. And breaking it, right?
And breaking it.
Highly symbolic, breaking the stained glass. A lot of animes do this, I think. I think Final Fantasy VII does that too. So how much noise do you guys get when I talk? Because it is very loud from my perspective.
None?
Pretty much none.
None. If anything, it sounds like very, very, very light static.
I don't even get the static.
Yeah,
Well, we'll see
I
if the Lord strikes me down or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now that you like when you talk, and then like I can't hear anything. Like maybe it sounds like an air conditioner, but if it's a heavy thunderstorm, then I can't tell.
So far, I have survived.
Good job.
Yeah, maybe this is some kind of a sign that you shouldn't have done this, and so now the thunderstorm is a bit of a sign and a bit of wrath for doing this.
Well, maybe before I'm struck down and sent to see St. Peter, I should admit that like these Reddit talks can be a little addicting. I would say a little more so when you're not hosting and you don't have that kind of pressure, but just popping in.
Obsession?
Yeah, a little bit, especially like when you can pop in. Like I think I have the sixth sense when people start talking about religion and spirituality. I just sort of saunter into a room and happen to be there. But it's a nice time, especially when you don't have to worry about hosting it and all those details.
Well, I mean, you are the power super mod of the group, so with that definitely comes power.
In my experience, all mods are seen to be power mods, and all are held in disgust. No one likes the mods on Reddit.
Anyone else want to make the great power, great responsibility quote? Because, like, I don't know, I feel nerdy enough that I probably shouldn't be the one who has to make it.
No, I think that the suspicion of authority on Reddit is probably, at the end of the day, reasonably healthy. Some people definitely take it too far, but generally those people can be kept in check anyway.
Yeah, I'm checking the subreddit right now, and I'm looking, and I see everything, and the stickies and things like that you have, and I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I guess you're the dude that's gonna. I mean, I don't know. I want to say save us from salvation, but if you're the one that's gonna be. If you're the Dank Reverend and you're the one that's doing it, then you're going to have the one that will lead us to our beginning and our end.
Anytime I get to something on there, anytime I get to something on the subreddit, Broclen's already done it. He's just so good.
Dude,
are you saying I'm obsessed with moderating?
Maybe so.
That's fair. I have good notifications, and I've got a quick draw, so I think that's part of it. My phone tells me when things are happening.
Nice. Yeah, you're going to have your work out for you if you intend to lead me to salvation.
No, I think my intention is to lead people to hopefully entertaining memes. I think that's my primary objective, and everything else kind of comes from there.
I'm not going to lie, I'm currently looking at Dank Christian memes for the first time. I should have done it previously, but, like, being that I'm not Christian and,
it's definitely
really
better to sort by, top this year or all time than to, take a momentary snapshot.
Yeah. I mean, it's just pretty standard memes by the look of it.
Well, it's the sort of thing where I think there's some people who would really have me take down some of the lower hanging fruit stuff, but I want to give people an opportunity to shoot their shot and then sort of see like that it doesn't work and give them an opportunity to workshop more.
Dude, low hanging fruit is where I live. I live on low hanging fruit.
It's kind of a funny dynamic too, because if you go on Facebook to like any Christian meme page, it will be what we stereotypically think of as boomer memes most of the time. But then like
our low quality content is someone else's content.
Yeah, we have like such a young audience for the most part, or a young subscriber base, that like it tends towards more Zoomer humor. If it doesn't well, and then other stuff wanders in from time to time, and then you just see the responses like, what?
Yeah, that's why I made the flare like Facebook meme or like cringe, so it can still be like posted, but also be properly categorized as like the sort of meme that it is.
I gotta say that I love the meme that came up about Jesus and how he had like 12 friends in his 30s and no one talks about that. I think that was like one of my very relatable meme.
Yes, very relatable.
I mean, I'm in my very early 30s and I got like 3 proper friends, so I can't say shit, dude.
It's tough. It's tough maintaining friends.
Well, I think that I question whether or not the 12 disciples count as friends. I always think people kind of lose track of how when you read the four Gospels, the 12 disciples don't really come out looking good, especially at the end there. So I'm putting air quotes around Jesus's 12 close friends.
I
don't know. I hope my boys stick with me like that, though.
He had at least 11 good ones. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he had 11.
If you keep too many close friends, how many of them are actually close, and how many of them are Judas waiting to happen?
True.
This is how I justify having no friends. Boom. No one's going to betray me.
But I don't know. I mean, also it's like, maybe if they weren't friends, but like it's like the camaraderie of being in the trenches together. It's like you have like a basketball team, right? For like, I forget how many weeks a basketball season is, but for like, that's 12 people. You're all like in it together. It's like now, like maybe outside of like, basketball and like, outside the season, we all go do our separate things, and maybe we're not like best buddies, but like there's something that like connects all of us, like, in that way.
The connective tissue or the cultural ties that bind.
Or the suffering.
Or the suffering. Hey, suffering can really be a bonding experience.
It's like, remember that time Jesus dragged us to go hang out with those lepers? Like, man, yeah. I like that. You became my boy
every Tuesday.
Yeah, right.
When you said that, it made me think of it like a Family Guy scene. Like, hey, Judas, remember that time that we went to the wedding in Cana?
Oh my God, I can fucking see that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
They're all cutaway jokes.
Exactly.
The entire gospel told in cutaway jokes. Jesus is just hanging on the cross, and they're mocking him like, hey, remember all those lepers you healed?
Oh, no. But I really like when Family Guy takes like just like takes like background people and from like, especially like when they do it with Star Wars, like they just make the stormtroopers like people, just like regular people. Like what was there's one scene where Han Solo, Peter, he's sitting on the radio talking to Stormtrooper radio, and like one guy calls up, he's all talking about like a relationship they has that's like ending, and like he's having a hard time. I'm like, these are all just like, people. I like when they make like jokes about that.
What was it? Robot Chicken had the Stormtrooper who brought his daughter to work for Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. And he runs into Vader, and Vader like stares at him and is like, that really hits me where I live.
Wow.
That's good. That's good.
That like on a level, like he's a boss, and like maybe there's a softer side to his like dark side corruption.
I really need to watch some Robot Chicken. I've heard so much about it, but it's not something that we've had in the UK, or rather, we had it, but it was a long time ago, like back in the way early 2000s. It was usually on like,
its first seasons were a little questionable. I don't know how it is currently, but it has its rise and falls. It's got the things it does well and the things it does.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had the very, very, very early seasons back in the early 2000s that were on like really late. But I mean, I've seen the odd sketch here and there, like the Super Mario Grand Theft Auto one and a few of the Transformer ones and all that. And they're all pretty good, but like, I'm not seeing
anything. There's a few really good, like,
yeah.
themed ones. Like, there's Jesus says, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone," and then he just clobbers a guy with a stone because presumably Christ is without sin.
I like the one where they explain how, like, in Muppet Babies, there's Skeeter and Scooter, but then when there's just the Muppets, there's no Skeeter, it's just Scooter. she accidentally drowned in the kiddie pool.
Oh, they love the dark humor. I think they put down Animal in Robot Chicken at one point.
Oh my God.
It's a really good show. It's but like you said, it started off rough, like I think a lot of shows kind of generally do, and then they'll hit their stride. And Robot Chicken is pretty much the same way. It got off to a rough start, and then it's still going really well. I think because I still watch it, the later episodes kind of kind of fall off. And I don't think it's necessarily because it's bad. It's just because the stories or the shorts they do are so quick and there's so many ideas. I don't want to say it's like they're running out of ideas, but the ideas are becoming a little thin. So it's still good. It's just almost like they've done
and
so
the
much.
show was always
really
like a fever dream. The show's always been like a fever dream come to life. So I feel like there's only, like when you get to a point, perhaps it's run its course.
Yep,
Yeah,
not everything lasts forever. So, speaking of which, and then kind of tying into that, that show, the Orville. Why do I feel like that's a more like funny? It's just a funnier Star Trek. So it's just like the progression of doing like Family Guy to like American Dad to like Ted, and then now like like it changes. Like those things got stale, and now he can do like like that type of show.
What's really funny about the Orville is Seth MacFarlane didn't actually want to make it a comedy at all. He wanted it to be like completely straight.
Did he?
Yeah, they wouldn't make it unless they made it a comedy.
I can see that. Does he? He does. I don't know what the type of singing is, but he does singing too. He takes that very seriously, also.
Yeah. But I think it's a bit of a waste. I'm not really that much into the whole sci-fi thing. I like Star Wars. Not really into like sci-fi for the most part. I've gone about as far as a bit of Red Dwarf, but come on, I'm English. I fucking have to. It is what it is. But I think it would have been really cool to maybe see him act seriously, because I don't think I've ever seen him in anything in which he does properly display his talents in a a more serious way.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, at the very least, he plays a straight man in the Orville. So, but I guess that's the closest I've seen him.
Maybe I actually saw this on Reddit because, of course, why not? I remember that he had Family Guy, and then it got canceled. And then he was like, all right, well, I'm going to make another one just to see how it works, which is American Dad. And then Family Guy, came back, and then now he's got two animated shows. And so I thought that was kind of interesting how he said like one of them is going to get canceled. So at least I've got another one in my back pocket, but they are going strong.
Well, it's an interesting relationship between kind of like mainstream television and like cable television. Because it got canceled the first time after they did the Once Upon a Jew episode, and Fox canceled them. So then, but Cartoon Network picked up all those, picked up whatever seasons they had, kept playing them, and regained their popularity to the point where Fox took them back on, and kind of ended up. And it's actually their first episode. They took a straight jab at Fox over that, and basically called out every other show on Fox that Fox tried and then canceled and didn't work out.
Yes, it was towards the end credits when it was just and it was just this huge list of all the shows that got canceled. Yep, okay, I remember that one.
Yep. But it was interesting. It happened for some other shows, but just the show moving over to another platform, and then just doing so well that that it picks back up. I believe the same thing happened with Community. There's definitely a show or two I can't remember that went over to Netflix and got popular enough that they started making more episodes of it again. So I don't know if that falls into the obsession category, but I think it's very interesting. It's once you switch over a platform and give people access to something, how their desire for it kind of changes or increases.
Yeah, I think that also animation has become much more mainstream, where it used to be The Simpsons, and then Matt Groening tried to do Futurama, and Fox canceled it. So, but there's also this weird situation now where Disney owns The Simpsons, and that's funny and awkward and weird and meta. I wonder what it's like in the place of the multiverse where Disney owns Family Guy. That would be a very awkward relationship, I feel.
I think like because they own Hulu, so I believe their more racier content goes on there, and they just kind of keep it off the Disney kind of brand altogether.
Well, Deadpool
but they
finally
still
made it
have
over to Disney Plus, so
Yeah,
well, it's
a lot
got
of
to go into
Marvel stuff
MCU.
too.
Consolidating.
Yeah, was it? Let's see, Punisher, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist. I think I'm missing one, but I do remember when it was brought over to legit Disney Plus, and the next thing I got was like this when I signed in, and I was like, oh, I'll watch them, and it had like this warning, like you 21 years of age or older, and be careful because there are some shows that we have now that are not suitable for children. And I was like, okay, and I clicked it, and then next thing I know, like right in that front banner was like Daredevil, and I go, cool. So
yeah. Well, and it depends on what kind of account you have. Like I do this all the time where I'm like, why can't I find the show I want to watch? Like, oh, you're logged in under your daughter's account. Like, son of a bitch. So like,
They always get us.
yeah.
It's like I don't remember watching all this My Little Pony. What's going on?
Perhaps I
not
am
my
a brony. I don't know.
Right, maybe I am.
All right, guys. Well, I was going to wrap it up here, but I want to give everyone an opportunity to say their final word, their final thought, and if you've got a project you want to plug or a subreddit you want to get more attention, give us your elevator pitch.
My final thought. Let's see. I can't do a Jerry Springer because it's not pre-written, so it's kind of
Now it's my final thought.
Yeah. Now for my final thought. Just like the community itself, it's very nice, and it's very, for the most part, I mean, we get, there's always going to be some knuckleheads. Super chill, and I don't see hardly any attacks on people's thoughts about religion or what they believe or what they don't believe or what they don't care to believe. So everybody is in this little space chat thing that we have here has been super cool, which I think reflects the rest of the community. So what is it? What did you say, Broclen? Be awesome, I think is what it was.
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other. Yes. So I think
it's in our description.
Yeah, that's what it was. I couldn't remember. So everybody's been excellent to each other, and it's really cool that I just so happened upon this because, of course, I was bored, and what else better to do than open up Reddit?
Why not? You found us. Thanks. Cruel Angel, you got any final thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I guess. Just to expand a little bit on what he said, it's really fucking cool to actually be around people, with differing opinions on things such as religion and many other things, and actually be able to get together and have a civil and interesting conversation that doesn't circle around back to things that maybe, I don't know, somewhat uncomfortable. So it's really, really fucking cool to actually get to talk to some incredibly awesome people with, different life experiences that aren't, I don't know, religious lunatics.
And sharing some dirty jokes. Dirty jokes all around.
Dirty jokes all the way.
I can't see. I'll open this one.
Is that your final thought?
That is my final thought.
Is there a particular brothel or inn that you would like to plug?
Rough Roman memes? I don't know.
All right. The last word goes to you, Jones.
I thought this was a good topic for this week. I think I didn't know where it was going to go, but I gotta say it's great talking to people and who have different opinions and perspectives on things. But I thought it was just awesome hearing about different collections that like people have in their families. I just thought that was really interesting, and I'm really glad I signed on today and heard about that. And I think we should do was ask archaeology questions one day, because I feel like I have like a lot of them now. And
that was episode 1, but we usually have some good archaeology questions regardless. Thanks for being here, Jacob.
Yes, thank you very
also,
much.
You just hang out in the Discord. There's an archaeology channel in there, and it's basically just for the say something, and eventually Jacob will look at it and respond to it. So if you go there,
that's an awesome plug. I'm definitely going to do that. Yeah, this was fun. I look forward to the next one. And I'm so happy that even people across the pond can appreciate the mummy appropriately.
Yeah.
Like we all agree. That was good stuff.
So, very, very last thing I have to say is just to bring up the quote that you said earlier on. Weep, you girls, my penis has given you up. Now it penetrates men's behinds. Goodbye, wondrous femininity.
Amen.
Well said.
That's all around.
Applause.
Incredible. Oh my God.
All right. Well, this has been our casual Monday conversation about obsessions and whatever else comes to mind. This has been hosted by Dank Christian Memes, a place for all kinds of Christians and all kinds of non-Christians. Thanks for being here. Our next show is on Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're going to have an interview with a traditional minister, an analog minister, a real minister. I don't know. We're going to go over the nomenclature. We'll try to get it down before the show. But yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Thanks everyone for listening. Now Olive Tiger is going to play us out.